Lance Bachmann here, LB Capital, sitting here with John Duffin. I'm excited to be on the show. Let's effing grow. It's Duffin time. Let's go.
Welcome to the Your Message Received podcast. And now, taking your message to the finish line, your host, John Duffin.
Hey folks, John Duffin here with Duffin Media. Welcome back to another episode of Your Message Received. Your Message Received is the place, the platform, the home to help you find your best, your most true, authentic business voice. Get what you want, find what you need, improve your results, make billions of dollars, find a person of your dreams. I can't promise those last two, but we're working on all that stuff. And you'll keep finding us. Thank you for finding us on everywhere you get your podcasts. Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart. We're just glad to be back. And today is officially the first in-person podcast interview I've ever done. So there's a lot of firsts here and a lot of really good things that I get to do. And I get to introduce somebody who I have been a really big fan of for several years now and have never actually met. But I get to use the space. I get to hear from him. Successful author of All In. Successful speaker, turned around a ton of companies and now is helping other people to turn around and enter and exit their own. Lance Bachmann, thanks for having me and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for coming in. Thanks for asking me to be on. I'm a big fan of yours. I watch your podcast. I've watched what you've done. It's been exciting, so thanks for having me.
Hey, it's just one of those things where it's like I said, I feel like you've got such a fun story to tell. And as I've learned that it hasn't always been easy, but you make it fun. And that's one of the cool things that I find, whether it's your own personality or the culture that you've provided with other people, it's just been great. And you're a Northeast Philly person, which I didn't realize either.
Yeah, from Northeast Philly in Bucks County. I went to Council Rock for high school, Northeast Philly when I was younger. Yeah.
I'm a Holy Ghost prep guy, so I always remember when it was time to play Council Rock in basketball, I got intimidated. No, I didn't play. I was just a fan. But I remember being intimidated because Council Rock was big. And we had 100 students, and I felt like you guys had like everybody at least, it seemed, at Council Rock.
When I was there, our graduating classes were 1,000, 950, 1,100, 1,200. Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a great – listen, Council Rock opened. The one thing I'll say about Council Rock is this. It let me – I never knew what money was until I went to Council Rock. And I sat there, and that opened my eyes. That's probably 50% of the reason why I said, fuck this. I'm not going to be poor. I'm not going to be – you see guys and girls that have money, drive a nice car, and, you know, you got holes in the bottom of your shoes. You can't afford – I'm like, this is – but no, I have nothing bad to say because I met some great people at Council Rock. Yep. My coach, Andy Sanko, Bettison, Mr. Holland Yates, like – Applegate, like I had great Len Spearing, Mr. Freeman, like I had some of the best influence of men at Council Rock, believe it or not.
I love of those recollections, and I want to get to it's Coach Sanko, right? He's the wrestling
coach.
Coach
Sanko was my coach at the time, big impact on my life, good guy. Bettison, Vince, good guy. I mean, listen, I was a young punk kid, and they took me in and tried to help me out.
So, growing up, knowing the backstory, a lot of people already know this backstory, but for those few that don't, you grew up in a big family.
1 of 14.
What was it like?
We were poor. I mean, listen, we were in and out of foster homes, group homes, locked up, juvenile detention centers, police, alcoholic parents, abuse, physical abuse, constant, mental abuse. You know, I mean, listen, I say this to anyone. What happened to me as a child today, my parents would be away for life in jail. Okay. They'd be doing life. And so the people around them supporting them. Back then, things were different, I just think. And, you know, listen, I defend my mom for one reason, even though I don't talk to my mom.
Right.
Is she never left. I mean, she did leave, but it wasn't so easy. She kept coming back. She kept trying to come get us. Listen, it's not easy when you have 14 kids. And once you're in the system is so broken. They don't help you. They want you in the system. That is people's paychecks. The system is a business. It is not to rehabilitate. It is to captivate and keep you in there. And people do not understand that. The majority of prisons are privately held. These foster care parents get paid from it. I mean, there is no goodwill in what the majority of these people are doing. It's actually all a business. the judges, the probation officers. I'd say to all of them, politicians are all in bed together. I mean, think about this. All those prison guards vote. All those nurses vote. All the wardens vote. You're creating big government, big jobs. We have the highest incarceration rate of any country in the world by almost 3 times now per capita. I mean, it's just, what CEO wants an empty bed?
Nobody. None.
So for me, I don't, back to my childhood, like, I don't blame my mom. I'm glad I went through what I went through. I don't ever look at myself, and I've never once felt sorry for myself. I'd rather die than feel sorry for myself.
How'd you get out of the cycle for you?
No one does it by themselves. I say it to everyone. I guess, as bad as my family was in a lot of ways and still is in a lot of ways, right? Like, just some of them are still bad people. Some of my own brothers I don't talk to still today. They try to destroy me. I mean, listen, 2 of my brothers got together a few years ago. I got successful and started writing letters to everyone in the community about me and my mug shop when I was younger and locked up. And my brother Fred and Adam, they decided to do that and say, listen, we're going to try and destroy him and take him down because they got jealous of the success, right? But everybody knew my story. But the best part was they were locked up with me for half the shit in the letters. That's why I'm like, damn, man. Like, you're trying to destroy me. You were with me. Come on. I mean, we were known for fist fighting, right? We were known for it. Then they put in there, the thing about having threesomes with girls. And okay, listen, I like to live.
So in 2023, that doesn't sound awful. You know what I mean?
Listen,
It's like it doesn't.
They
sound
sent
like
it
it's
to my
ever
wife, to coaches, to teachers, to everyone. My wife's like, I know why I married Lance.
Not enough dudes in that story. Sorry, but that's just me, man.
Yeah.
That's just my deal.
Well,
but like,
not gonna be dudes in my story, John. I can promise you that. There won't be dudes in this story. You can have them all.
Right.
Hey, call John.
Listen, one more example of what a generous guy you are. Talk to me about Coach Sanko. I know that he was really influential. What drew you to wrestling? What drew you to him? What was it?
Listen, there was another guy, Regan Mahoney, that drew me to wrestling.
Cool.
My best friend, Seth Dunn.
Right.
His dad, Jack Dunn, great guy. Listen, Jack Dunn, you talk about a good man and Mr. Ortman. These 2 men watched me get locked up when I was younger, get in trouble, and why the rest of the community went away from my family. These 2 men embraced my family. Okay. Like, they would come let me and my brothers in their homes still. They would let us sleep over. Their kids could sleep at our house. So they never once said, Lance is a bad kid. He got locked up. He got in trouble again. The police. Never once. And never once did they ever make me feel that way. And I'm sure their wives, and I love both their wives. They've been great to me. Weren't happy their sons were hanging out with a kid like me. Okay. And they're still 2 great friends of mine. Seth Dunn, obviously, still my best friend to today. But Sanko, Bedison, why I love wrestling so much, I think it teaches you life lessons. I tell my sons this all the time. There's no money in wrestling. There's no money in wrestling. You look at the best wrestlers in the world, and I'm worth 10 times them.
I got you.
And I'm not being disrespectful.
Right.
But when they're in the wrestling community, everyone goes to them like they're the Michael Jordans and the Larry Birds. And I can't. And that's great. But wrestling isn't that important to me, right? Even though it's a big piece of my life, it's the life skills of overcoming adversity, knowing how to fail, being able to deal with your emotions. I truly believe once you wrestle, the rest of life becomes easier. Okay. I just really believe that with all my heart. So that's why my sons wrestle. And being if my sons are going to do something, I want them to be good at it. They don't have to be the best. I talk to my sons about this all the time. I coach them football. We lost our flag football game to my buddy, Digital Daddy, the other night. It was actually Monday night we lost to Digital Daddy, right? And I coached with him, right? And he's yelling Digital Daddy. He's joking. He's laughing. And my son's losing, right? And I'm like, buddy, this is a flag football game. Like, it's adversity. We're here to make leaders, right? Makes sense? Right. He's joking, I'm joking. I could have joked with him losing, and he would not have got that upset. We both want to win because we're competitive people, but we both understand there's failures through it. So I think when you understand, I'm trying to make leaders out of my sons. Gotcha. More than any football player, more than any wrestler. I think if you lead and you become a leader, the rest falls into place. Look at the best organizations, the best athletes in the world. The leaders of those organizations make more money than their best athletes. Always, right? So some people look at things and say, I want my kid to be the best wrestler in the world. I've never asked that of my sons. I ask for your best effort. What I do ask you to be is be the best leader you can be every day.
Curious about in terms of the fatherhood part. So you've got your son, Andrew.
My son, Andrew, I found out about him 11 years ago. His mother told me on Facebook.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that will then lead to my next question, which is fatherhood of someone who is an adult that you were introduced to 10 years ago must be substantially different than being a father to young kids. And I'm wondering, are there parallels? Like, I mean, you're pretty much coaching one or just getting to know one, and then you've got your young kids. What's the difference like in terms of being a dad in on both of those?
Listen, like I tell Andrew this,
Right.
and no matter how he feels, I love my son
Yep.
with all my heart.
Yep.
He's my first son, and no one will ever take that from him. I know at times he doesn't feel like he's my first son because I didn't get to hold him when he was a baby. I didn't get to. He struggles with it, right? Like any natural human being would. He looks at LJ as my first son, right? A lot of people do.
Right.
No one's ever going to take away from me that Andrew's my first son. I never asked his mom why. I'll never ask his mom why. His mom delivered me a beautiful, healthy 21-year-old son. At the end of the day, that's all I can ask for. Doesn't matter why. I have no ill will towards his mother. I love his mother. She sleeps at my house. She comes to my house. I wish my son would feel the same way. You know, is it different? Sure, it's different. I love my son Andrew. I want what's best for my son Andrew. But when you don't have those first 21 years to make an impression, you know, you said something here earlier today. I'm sure you'll bring it up. You know, I thought, Lance, you might have grew up rich and things were
Exactly.
easy for you.
Easy.
Well, Andrew came into my life as I was already having a black card. I was already a millionaire. Makes sense? Like, so he only sees it being easy. He's still, you know, he'll tell you I still work 15 hours a day. He'll tell you that. He'll tell you I work for the time I'm up.
We're going to get to that and from 3 days ago.
I mean, he'll tell you those things, you know, but is it different? Yes. I love my 3 sons. I love Andrew. I love them all the same. They're all in my will equally the same. There's no difference of distribution among my 4 sons. I love his mother. I'm blessed, and I thank God every day that his mother told me about him because I could not imagine him not in my life. So I thank God. People are like, aren't you mad at her? No, because you don't know the burden she had to carry knowing I was the father of her kid. And know what? You know, I, not to stick up and say she's right, but I wasn't the best kid. Maybe I wasn't the best role model for her in her eyes. There's a lot of whys that don't matter, right? We're here now. I love you. Let's move on. His mother's a great mother, and I'm proud to have her as my mother of my kid. And I can't say a bad word about her, nor why.
Even I just noticed even from like the photos and stuff, I see Andrew and everything. I think it's great. Like to me, it's just my curiosity was more, how do you speak to a kid that's not a kid as opposed to like little kids? Like, are you instilling the same messages?
I do, but
you know
does he listen? I don't know.
Right.
You know, and that's the truth. I mean, I don't think he does, right?
Right.
So I'll be honest with you. You know, everyone I'm around, all these successful people say to Andrew, you got a father like this, you know. He said something to me one day. He goes, well, you know how we are. We're Bachmans. We're stubborn. I'm like, that's the fucking dumbest thing I heard. The Bachman name, you know, was destroyed by a heritage of people that didn't have any leadership skills.
Right.
Right. And just let shit happen. Right. And that's true. That's the truth. They just, that's what destroyed the Bachman name when we were younger. The Bachman name under me is an amazing one, a good one. I'm proud of. I wear it on my back everywhere I go. And we can get there 100 times faster if you lose that bullshit. I want to be this type of tough Bachman and say, you know what, let me eat my ego. Let's build something great together and do something awesome together. And then the whole self-made thing that everyone wants to tell my sons, and all my sons are going to hear, your dad's self-made, you don't know what your dad came through. That doesn't matter. I don't want none of my sons to be self-made. Right. Any father should not want their son. When I meet a father, right, a guy says to me, I'm not going to leave my sons anything or take care of my sons, I start laughing. I'm like, your mom and dad helped you to get where you are. I didn't have that fucking privilege. I'll be damned if I'm not setting my kids up.
Right. It just makes me happy to hear that. It just does, that generous spirit. One of the things one of the reasons why I really did want to meet you is based on how freely you give things away in terms of information, insight, even on social media, which is honestly, that's all I've known you from, you know, or reading all in, you know what I mean? It's like, but it always felt generous. Lance, where did you pick up the leadership skills? Were you born with it? Did people instill it in you? You're saying the Bachman name was and the Bachman name is. Where'd you get them?
I don't think anyone's born a leader. I think people are born with some leadership qualities.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
I think people harness their skills. I think I'm a sponge. I always say monkey see, monkey do. I looked at what I wanted to be, and I said, I just started watching Dave Geigers of the world, Charles Stubbs, the CEO of YellowPages.com, Neil
Right.
Salvage,
We
Danny
started,
Deal,
right. Yeah, yeah.
Randall Stevenson, Bill Cormier. Bill Cormier was a huge impact on my life about leadership. I'll never forget, my family all had all this craziness around them all the time growing up. Always crazy shit. And one day we're down in Florida when I started my company, and Bill Cormier goes, who's the crazier one? The crazy people doing all the crazy shit around you, or the crazy person that deals with it all? And I'll never forget that quote. And that's what makes it so easy to cut people off out of my life. Because as soon as you come to me with some type of craziness that distracts me from my mission, you're out.
Gotcha.
You're out. But I think leaders are trained. I think it evolves. I think leaders make mistakes. I still make mistakes. I mean, all the time, I just get the privilege of being named. I mean, I use George Washington as an example. If you look up how many battles he won versus lost, I think it was a tie. I think he had 4 ties in battles, 6 wins, 6 losses, and he won the final battle to win the war.
So he's a winner.
That's true leadership.
That right.
Like how to deal with failure and
Yeah.
and you know how to deal with things. I say to my son, he's a quarterback, and he threw a bunch of picks the other night against Digital Daddy's game. He's like, I suck, this and that. And I started laughing, and I said, yo, my man, listen, if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is. You've been a leader since you were born. We talk about leadership. That is one game of success. And so early this morning, I showed him the guy that plays for the Bucks. I forget his name. How they asked him, do you consider this year a failure? And he goes off on the report. Saying,
Milwaukee Bucks. It's Giannis, right.
And
I never say his last name properly.
It was one of the greatest speeches I ever heard an athlete give. And I was like, wow, every kid has to watch this. And I made my sons all watch it, all 3 of them today.
He referenced Michael Jordan in that,
correct.
right?
And it was like the best speech. Like, you don't win all the time.
No.
And so I think leadership is, and you got to work, and you got to want to be a leader. I take a lot of pride in what I've become. I'm very proud of who I'm a very proud man. Like, I have no problem saying it to anyone. I went from being the lowest self-esteem kid in school to probably the most confident man I know.
Yeah, right.
And I shot by everyone I graduated with, and that's okay. And I'm going to keep going. And people are like, oh, you got a chip on your shoulder. You got a chip. Maybe I do. I don't give a shit.
Lance, it couldn't have just been one thing. I mean, I know about the arc at AT&T and running up to be the youngest vice president and all this sort of thing. But what I was going to ask you was, do you know when the shift changed in you?
Yeah,
Was it a defining moment or a series of things where you're like, wait a minute, I am, the cocky part and all that stuff, which is great. I am a leader. I need to be doing this. Do you remember? Or did it just evolve?
I think it evolved. I think one of the defining moments for me is when I got out of jail when I was about 19 years old.
Okay.
And I had nowhere to go.
What jail?
Bucks County. I was up at Bucks County. Got into a fist fight with my 2 brothers. There you go, right?
Right.
I got put away.
Okay.
And when I was getting out, at that time, I think my mom moved out. No one was taking me, and my sister Janine said, "Come live with me."
Okay.
So you have to get out. And I was sleeping on her couch, and her 2 daughters, Jackie and Brittany, beautiful girls, and we were living in an apartment in Doylestown. And I was like, man. And my sister would do anything for me. My sister, when you talk about someone that does not care about money, just a happy person, my sister Janine, like, if the world could be her, the world would be a beautiful place.
Gotcha.
And that was like the changing point when I started taking care of her daughters, and I started coaching them in soccer and being around them. And they're still probably, I love them, not more than anyone else. My niece and nephews, I love all my nieces and nephews. But then you're like, okay, what am I doing here? Like, and then, listen, the one thing I say about my older brothers is as much as they got in trouble, they always try to get us younger brothers not to get in trouble, not to follow them. But you only see that stuff, so you become that stuff. Telling me not to drink, but you drink, I'm going to drink, right? Like, it's just, so, I mean, they were the changes that, and it just kind of evolved. And I got a job at a locksmith. And then Donnelly Directory, a guy named Jeff Cartwright gave me my job there, and it was lights out after that. Once I realized I could make money, and listen, I could never sell something I don't believe in. The phone book is the most powerful tool I ever saw in advertising in my life. Right? And, like, it didn't take me long to figure that out. Like, once I started seeing people saying, I wanted, like, the power of the phone book, how many times the phones rang, and people, like, were so afraid to get pulled out of the phone book, it was the easiest sell I ever had.
Lance, so I was on the television side. I sold ad sales and television, a little bit of radio, but mostly television. I can't tell you, you never won a conversation ever if it was against Yellow Pages or Phone Book. Ever. They're like, no, I don't care. No, that money ain't coming out.
Yeah, the phone book's
that
the-
ain't coming out.
Correct.
And so you just realize, don't fight that fight.
No doubt.
Eventually, you just got smart. And you race up the ladder. I'm curious, though, where did you find the guts to start One SEO?
I had nothing to lose. Like,
Uh-huh.
like,
There was a couple of parts of the guts thing for me.
like for me, it's like, what is, like, what's there to lose? Like, to start your own business, to have a vision, and say, I'm going to go build something. I already built yellowpages.com for
Right.
them from the ground up.
Yep.
Right? So I had a ton of experience. I knew what I was doing. 159 million, 900 people worked for me. You know, the best part is nobody wanted to come on that journey with me except for Dave DePaulo and Jackie Eldridge. They're the only two people that believed in me. Like my own sister.
Of the 159 people, just now.
There was 900 that worked for me.
900, sorry. Okay, yeah.
And, you know, Jackie Eldridge and literally Dave DePaulo were the only two people that said, fuck it, we'll go with you. And my sister Jolene at the time, who I recruited to just.
I was going to say, right?
I said, just
Runs
answer
the
the
show.
phone and just manage the books, right? And I'll never forget, Yellow Book wanted me to come to them, and they wanted me to sign a 3-year agreement with them. It was a multi-million-dollar deal.
Why didn't you?
Because I didn't need the money. Money's irrelevant. Money is just money buys you options. People are like, Lance, well, you're a multi-millionaire. It's easy to say that. No. Even when I had no money,
Right.
I was happy. Some of the happiest times in my life is when I was the poorest, believe it or not.
Okay.
Like when I was bouncing at Harbor Lights, best time of my life. I was making $150 a night,
Got it.
and I had no responsibility, no stress. I was shredded. I looked like I walked out of a magazine,
Right.
and life was good. And, you know,
You still do, but that's
don't know about
okay,
that,
okay,
brother.
fine.
and you know,
right.
it's so that's why I try and tell people, like, it's not about the money, it's about winning. If you win and you serve and you treat people good, you're going to make money. As long as you're doing those things. If you go chasing money, I think it's very hard to make money. You might make money quick, but you're going to burn out. I've always say this to people. Look at these people, they rise real fast, they crash real fast.
Yep.
I've been doing this for 30 years. And I've had my hiccups, but I've never crashed.
You took a second risk, at least how I see it, with One SEO. And
But
the
what's
other,
the risk?
Here was the other one to me. So you went strictly digital, right?
Of course.
Yeah, well, see, and you say, of course. So again, I come from not a conservative mindset. Television so dug their heels. It was so brilliant what you did.
John, I'm gonna
Because
tell you
we
this right
all
now.
were lazy and so judgmental about the digital part in 2009.
I'm going to tell you why, because you didn't understand it.
Oh, 100%.
Still today, people don't understand it. When
Yep.
I speak at conferences, people are like, I do radio, I do direct mail. And you
Mm-hmm.
got to remember, I have nothing to fucking sell you. I don't own One SEO, so I don't care where you put your budget. Like I said to everyone, like, you do what you want with your fucking money, because I don't own it. I don't care, right? But the first thing I do with every business, tell them,
Right.
Sean, advertise on Google. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
really not that hard. Then I advertise on Facebook. Everything else is gravy after that.
I gotcha.
I'm probably going to do local billboards. I tested radio right now. I won't do television. I'm going to tell you why. A lot of people will. Because I can get the same content to the direct market I want on Facebook and Instagram without 1/10 of the cost and be guaranteed that people at least see my content and they got to scroll through it instead of television. I'm hoping you're watching television. You're not fast forwarding the commercials. And and radio, you know, we just tried radio. I'll be the first one. And I think each one of my companies are spending, Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, upwards of $10,000 to $12,000 a month every 4 weeks. And we don't see, and we've been on it, and I give it time. We've been on it for 6 months now, and I'll let it run another 6 months.
And
But
you
it-
may never see it. That's why I'm laughing. It's
So,
like, we
but I'm
really
willing to test
believed
things.
it. We really
Yeah.
believed it. And it was so antiquated. Just stepping on, the risk was to have the guts to be that certain. And that's the part where I don't think you get a lot of credit for a lot of things. And I think one of the things is that you took because everyone else, we were wrong. Everybody was wrong in that regards too. You nailed it, you saw it, you understood it, and most importantly, you acted on it.
When I told everyone I was going to sell One SEO,
Right,
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 and I did.
right.
So I went to Jolene and CJ
Yep.
and said, listen, I'm going to sell One SEO to a private equity firm. I said, I'm going to leave. They said, where are you going? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I was very transparent. I said, I'm going to go into the roofing, painting industry heavily. I said, we've been in this roofing and painting industry now for about a year at a time. I've seen, they call them vendors, I like to call them partners, but I've seen the vendors disrespect these people. There's no business acumen from the majority of them. There's no real partnership between them all. And I see the opportunity, and people think I'm nuts to sell. You saw the size of that agency, 150 people up there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't need the money for the journey I'm taking right now.
No.
It's not about the money. It's about the fucking mission. I'm going to impact that space and show people you can become a multimillionaire, that you deserve the respect. You're not a contractor. You're a company. You employ people. You pay health insurance. You give the pledge. You do the right things. Stop listening to all these people that try and put you down with these words, because words matter. How you articulate yourself and the things you say to someone will put mental low self-esteem to them. So everyone thought I was crazy. And look, I still own a technology company. I still invested in one SEO. I just sold my first roofing company already in less than 15 months for mid-8 figures. My partner never has to work again. He's ecstatic. And the bottom line is, it's time to change. The vision changes, I tell everyone. The mission changes and the vision changes sometimes. For me, I love One SEO. It's a great company. I believe it's the best digital marketing company in the country still. I'm not here to sell you because I don't own it, right? But two, my mission's changed. I know where I'm going. And I still own HVAC companies, and people are like, why are you so passionate about HVAC? I'm like, Dave Geiger, Gang Kildrich, Wyatt, these guys already were the trailblazers to help that industry out. I got no value add to that industry. I can help these industries.
You got jacked up. I watched you get jacked up when you were carrying the message in regards to the roofers and being taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
You literally, I could see your jaw clench.
Absolutely.
You put up a post literally 48 hours ago, maybe yesterday, no more than a couple days ago, where you were talking to, you only heard the voice. It was you, and you had, it's more than passion. It was like you were like actually getting agitated. They don't know. They don't care about you.
They don't.
So
They don't.
why that service industry? What is it that gets you that fired up?
Because
more than the revenue
it's
potential.
the
It ain't just the money here.
I don't need the money.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. So it's something that's got you that jacked up. What is it?
I feel like they want to call themselves partners.
Yeah.
It's a one-way partnership. And I feel like it's been that way for years. And I feel like it's time for a change.
Okay.
Right? And sometimes you got to let a motherfucker know you bullied people too long. And listen, I'm going to be very transparent with you. Some roofers and painting companies have not helped themselves because they don't put systems in places. They don't put processes in place. They don't have leadership in place. They don't manage their P&Ls correctly. They don't pay their partners on time.
Right.
Right? So that all makes for friction inside your organization. Well, I'm going to teach you how for free, how to have a frictionless environment. Right? When there's friction, it's hard to make money. When it's frictionless, it's real easy to make money.
Okay.
And my mission is to take guys like Lance Bachmann, guys that had low self-esteem. I love people in recovery. I love people that have been locked up. I love people that have faced adversity. I love people that have had challenges in life because they're the ones that if we can help elevate more of them, they're going to be the ones that play it forward. I'm not saying anything bad about the kid that goes to Ivy League school or the kid that's born on third base. I'm sure they have their own challenges, but they're not going to be the ones that play it forward. I believe, I sincerely and mean it. I'm about changing people's lives for the better. I'm here to serve because I believe if you serve, you win. You don't have to lose for me to win. We both can win. And that's been my message to every one of these partners, from all the way from the top to the bottom.
I was almost getting choked up when I watched you get like that. It was just really like impressive to see because you've become like a champion for people. I love when you said you saluted your brother who got a couple of years of recovery.
100%. Why wouldn't I? Couldn't be proud of him.
I'm grateful to say I've got 22 plus years, and so it's
My
like
man.
right. I think of the stuff I asked you
What is that a shame? Why is that a shame that someone like I love when people say about recovery or this or that, like, oh man, I saw that post. Why shouldn't I be proud of my brother?
Oh,
I love my brother's a
delirious.
great man. He loves his nephews. He's a good man. But know what happens? People that do alcohol and drugs,
Yeah.
it changes their behaviors. They make mistakes. They get in trouble. I'd be willing to bet you the people in prison today,
Oh, sure.
90%, I'm going to say 90, I'm going to say 80% were higher on drugs at the time that caused them to get arrested.
I did 15 weekends, which was certainly not Bucks County. That's why I asked you where.
Yeah.
It's like they used to have it was the Philadelphia Police Department, but it was the Kensington Y, somewhere near Kensington, right? So I did 15 weekends there, and I can remember that sense of like dread and embarrassment and all that stuff for me because it was like at that time, not now. I don't.
You're
You know what I
going
mean?
to feel embarrassed when you go through the process.
Right.
But if you take the process and you learn, so this is why a lot of rehabilitation places don't ask me to ever speak anymore. So about 3 years ago, they asked me to speak, and it was about 500 people locked up, rehabilitated, the whole 9 yards in this room. And I said, guys, listen, everyone has a story,
Right.
right? But the bottom line is 99.9% of the people don't give a fuck about your story. My wife cares about my story. My children will care about my story. One or two other people will care about my story in my lifetime. No one else really cares. It's a fucking soundbite.
Yep.
It's just a soundbite. He can do it, you can do it. That's it, right? I said, but you look around here and you see all these people working here, right? And I said, you see all these other politicians, everyone here championing this and that. When they walk out of here, by the time they're to their car, you're forgotten.
Uh-huh.
You're forgotten.
No, I know that's legit.
You're their paycheck. Don't fucking talk to them. Put it in your mind that you're a lion. Put it in your mind, your mental toughness, that you can't go down this journey with these people.
Right.
And that's where my mindset is like, my mindset is so up here.
Yeah.
Like, you strip me from everything, take all my money, take all this away from me. I'd be a multimillionaire again inside of 12 months.
The reason it became really important to talk to you was this recent shift. I've loved all the other parts. It's fun. It's great. You make it. You know what I mean. You're funny. You know what I mean. Everything is you're such a great soundbite. But this is the part where I'm like, I have to talk to him because it's like this sense of it's time to change. It's time for change. It's time for change. And the legitimacy of it. Talk to me about, like, for instance, the change even within the building. You're here. You are upstairs, but technically you're building this new culture here.
We're building a full training center over here. We got another 10,000 square feet we're taking back here. We're building a whole entire training center. It's going to be free for roofers, siders, and painters, and power washing. Come here and train and learn their trade.
So what's that going to be like in terms of the way that you see this morphing, in terms of the way that you're...
I mean, I see it this way, right? I sold now... I'm one of the few people in the country.
Right.
Few people in the country. I say this to everyone. Go find me someone that is sold in 3 different verticals to private equity. I've sold 4 companies now, 3 digital marketing, roofing, HVAC. Most people don't sell to private equity 3 different verticals. They might have sold for more, but not
3 different verticals. Right.
And I have another one now coming under LOI in a different vertical.
Right.
Right? It's not about that. It's about scaling systems, processes. Everyone thinks, Lance, you're a digital marketer. I am. I'm one of the best fucking digital marketers in the country. There's no
Right.
doubt about that. I love digital marketing. I'll never do it again. I
Okay,
wouldn't have
yeah.
sold one SEO. I wouldn't have sold one There's only so much money in digital marketing. And I'd say that to anyone. That's not being rude. It's always the digital marketing person's fault. It isn't that your CSR sucks. It isn't that your CRM sucks, that you're not on Service Titan. I've yelled Service Titan to the fucking rooftop for everyone. And when people walk through here and they're still not on Service Titan, I'm like, don't come here. I'm ready to say it to people, don't come here if you're not on Service Titan. Like, you're not getting a better platform. So
Then Service Titan, I'm
correct.
repeating
You're
it,
just
right?
not. Like, so, like, you know,
Note to self.
I just
Service Titan.
I have a passion that I want to see everyone win.
Yeah.
And I want to see. I made multiple people multimillionaires now. Multiple people, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, multiple, right? And they've also attributed to their success by being smart enough to partner with me, understand there's a process. So how it's going to look is we're going to take companies and we're going to keep scaling them. I think we have 10 companies under LB Cap. I think we have 3 more under LOI right now. Correct, Sean?
Right,
We got a few more going through due diligence to get to LOI. And we're going to build and make as many multimillionaires across this country as possible. Someone said to me, when does it end? I said, when I'm in a casket. I have no desire to retire. I have no desire to slow down. If anything, I'm picking up speed.
So you spoke at Revolt. It was Revolt, right? A couple of
Great
weeks
guy,
ago.
Hunter Balo, great guy.
Oh, you were with
Great-
some serious people, and I was going to say, and they were with some serious you. So I'm going to say
That was in Vegas. I was with Bradley and
Right.
Andy Elliott,
Right.
you're thinking
What
about,
was
yeah.
that like for you?
I'm good friends with Brad. We talk all the
Yep.
time. Me and Andy get along good. Listen, once again, 3 people that are completely different, right?
Yeah.
They do sales coaching and training. I do not, right? I'm more of a business guy that does business, right? Like, really, if you think about what does Lance Bachmann do, he's a businessman.
That's
He
what I'm gonna
scales
ask you.
businesses
Yeah.
and he grows businesses.
Right.
But I'm known for digital marketing, right?
Right.
But there's more to it than just that. I got a 9-play book, right? Accountability, leadership, processes, systems, communication, right? It's all part of it. Advertising, right? Accounting. So, when you think about it, those guys are great guys. I mean, they have a great social media presence. It's just a very different model. I own multiple companies. We're going to do well over $100 million again this year between my companies, and we're going to continue to scale. I mean, do I think Bradley's a great guy? I think Bradley has a great social media presence. Awesome guy. I was on the phone with him 2 nights ago for about an hour. I'm probably gonna have Andy Elliott and Brad come out here and train my salespeople and why not do a group conference here where we get to bring roofers in, painters, HVAC guys, anyone in the trades. Truthfully, anyone that has a company and don't call themselves contractors, you walk through, you call yourself a contractor, I'm gonna ask you to leave.
Okay.
Right? I just think you're not a contractor. You're a company.
Yep.
When we change that mindset right there, the rest becomes easier.
Then I got you.
So they're going to probably come out here and do a conference training that will be my first one. I'm going to make totally free for everyone. And they'll do it because they're good guys.
I noticed that there's a lot of freaking happy people before you walked in. So it's no posturing, no. The culture that you've instilled here.
I mean, I didn't instill the culture. You hire
did?
great people. They instill it themselves. You
Right.
hire great people. Listen, you're always going to get a few turds in every organization, right?
Right.
But when you're small, you're lean and mean like we are. I mean, I think between all my companies, we only have a few hundred employees now. But at the core, what you're seeing here that's around me day to day, I mean, they know they're, I heard Sean interview a young kid that's starting with us, and he said, like, there is no time clock. You come and go, but you got to get your job done. It's goal oriented. Everything is same thing.
Goal-oriented, right.
Everything's goal oriented, task oriented. We got to move the needle. We got to win. We got to get it done. And so it's just, but we buy lunch every single day. You see the kitchen's fully stocked.
Yep. Happy people that are walking around, no airs, no pretensions. You know what I mean? It's just an easy, but there's an energy. I said to Sean, there's a current that's going through here. That it feels like I said, it's not posturing or positioning. It's a current of energy that's running through here, which is great, man.
I think we're probably piggybacked off of CJ. CJ
Okay.
really taught me a lot about culture. She's the CEO of One SEO.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
I was with AT&T. I mean, I want to win, right?
Yeah,
So
clearly.
I don't have to like you to be around you to win. Like I almost have like the Bill Belichick model.
Okay,
Like,
right.
I want the best people around me that want to win. If everyone does their job, everyone just stays in their lane, we're gonna win. Some people feel like they have to work with people they like. I don't. I have the pleasure of working with everyone I like right now. But I've worked with people I didn't like, and you would never have known. I don't talk about politics and work. It's unacceptable. I think that helps. We don't talk about race, religion, gender, any of those dumb things because honestly, I don't give a shit.
Right.
Do what you want to do. Like I don't care if you're gay, if you sleep with a guy on the moon. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if you tell me you worship a fucking dog. As long as you can move the needle and do your job and help us win and grow, you're gonna be on my team. Winning is so important to me. It's the first thing as long as it's ethical.
Yeah.
Everything else matters after that.
One more question
Good.
for this moment, which is, we talked about your kids earlier. What is it that you would love to see in regards to your kids in terms of not just how they turn out, but like with the way they communicate, the way they express themselves? What do you wish for them?
The only thing I wish for my kids,
Yeah.
and this is the only thing I mean, when I die, when I'm on my deathbed,
Right.
if I get to ask all 4 of my sons one thing, are you happy? I hope that answer is yes. Nothing else matters to me. Are you happy? So many people have all this shit and all these accolades and they're not happy. And nobody ever asks, are they happy? Listen, when I die, my wife's going to say, I know what I married my husband. I know what kind of man he was. He was a flawed man. He tried the best he could to be a better man every day. But I made a lot of mistakes with my wife in the beginning. Very terrible to my wife in the beginning when I first met her. So like I look at things differently. I don't think there's any perfect version. I think shit happens. I love my wife more than anything in the world. I'm fortunate she stayed with me through the mud. I mean, she stayed with me through a lot where a lot of women would have fucking packed their shit and said, I'm out of here. So I'm fortunate she stayed with me through the mud. But I think when you die, and I always say to people, write your eulogy and see what they say. And my eulogy to my kids, my only question I'd ever ask my children, are you happy? I hope that answer is yes. And to my wife I died, I'd say, listen, I want you to be happy. Go find someone else and live your life. Like, don't, like, that, and I mean that because I love her so much.
Yep.
I don't want, like, I'm a very difference of opinion. I'm not that self-absorbed. I don't need my sons to be the president of the United States. I don't need them to be the next Lance Bachmann. I don't need them to be, just, dude, are you happy? Are you happy? What do you want to do in life? Add value, and are you happy?
Oh, man. Add value, and are you happy? It's like, damn. Great questions and great answers. Lance Bachmann, I'm so damn glad that I had the pleasure to do this today. Folks, you just heard another episode of Your Message Received with Lance Bachmann. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Honest to God.
Thank you.
Really well done. And folks, you've heard it. Another episode of Your Message Received. Keep listening, keep liking, keep sharing. You're finding us on YouTube. You're finding us on everywhere you get your podcasts. This is John Duffin Media. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will be back with more. Have a great day, all. Bye.
Is now making its way across the finish line. Your Message Received has been a production of Duffin Media.